Lovely to see so many of you here today. You're all looking fabulous. I can't help but say how wonderful you look. Look, Eileen in her lovely red, Jane in her multicolours. You're looking spring and summery. Welcome back to those who've been travelling. Liliana's back, Sue is back, Claudia's back. You've all flown in specially for the AGM. Yes. And Amanda. Right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the IWC AGM. Can I just ask you to please switch off your cell phones before we get started? We don't want any urgent WhatsApps coming through. I was actually going to start by saying how proud I have been this past year to wear the President's badge, except I can't find it. I've lost my badge. I'm in badge. It's terrible. She ran fine. I prayed to St. Anthony. I've nagged other people about their badges, and here I am. But if you don't know who I am by now, well, anyway, apologies that I'm not wearing my badge. Marcella's getting me organised with a replacement for next week, so it's just a bit funny. If you still have a raffle prize to collect, they will be available after the meeting. So just one other important reminder, just a bit of housekeeping and what's happening in the future. Our lovely year-end celebration is going to be held on Thursday, the 10th of November. You will get an invitation. It'll be sent out on a broadcast. We will ask you to register an RSVP for that. We've got a fantastic morning planned for you with some great entertainment. However, it will be a catered event. It is very, very, very important that you reply on that message on the Google form that Victoria sends out. If you don't, we won't have a place for you. It's as simple as that. It's a catered event. If we cater for 200 people and 220 people turn up, we're in trouble. And some people will go without. So that's not fair. And so we really, really will ask you, please, please, please reply and register for that function. If you know of any friends or people who may struggle with the technology, let us know. We'll make sure they're included. But please, please, please do that. Okay, well, at this, the other first thing I have to do before I start my address, a little bit of officialdom. We do have the, sorry, am I?
No.
Okay, can I keep talking?
Yes, you can.
Oh, I can keep talking. We do have the minutes of the last AGM in October 2021. They've been published. They are on the notice board. I just have to officially record minutes as an accurate record of the meeting. Vilma, are you proposing? Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies, for seconding. So we can record that they have been officially accepted. And today's meeting is being transmitted on Zoom. It's going to be recorded. So we will have minutes published. There's Jane. We do keep an accurate record of the AGM. At this point, fine, and I can reflect on this past year. I do hope you've taken a moment, or you will do, to read my report in the AGM booklet. You should have all got a copy of that. Our motto for the year has been moving forward, giving back. And I really think the club has been able to honour those words this year. At the very beginning of 2022, there was still a huge amount of uncertainty about gatherings, about COVID restrictions. Was it going to open up? Were we going to be closed down again? We were still not sure when the board met to arrange the first meeting. And luckily, the country did open up. And we as a board hit the ground running as we planned our Kelvin meetings and our group activities. So at last, we were able to meet up with friends, and IWC members were very, very keen to get together again. We opened the year, as you know, in February with a wonderful celebration of the 45 years of the club. And I'm sure you can recall Nick Ribonovitz and all the laughter we shared. From then on, for us, it was all systems go. And the club has survived and thrived, and I feel is stronger than ever. I'm very proud that we've hosted a full year this year of Kelvin meetings with varied and very interesting speakers, as well as offering more activities than ever before in our monthly calendar. When I describe the club to outsiders, to friends I meet, I feel I'm an ambassador for the club. And when I tell them what we do, without exception, they are always amazed at the variety and caliber of the events we can offer. Many of these unique outings are things that you could not do as a member of the public. And this is all thanks to our amazing, dedicated team of group leaders who spend time researching venues and experiences on our behalf. Janet's going to talk about that shortly. Last year was the year of updating the website. And this year, as part of our moving forward, we have moved into the digital age with our impressive newsletter, which I think looks colourful and professional. And we've gone into the 21st century with our Google Forms on WhatsApp, thanks to Victoria. We have revisited and amended the Constitution, more of that later. And as for giving back, again, after 2 very difficult years in which many charities struggle to survive, we can be proud that we have made significant contributions to so many, many different organisations. So what has been my personal experience? Well, first of all, my waistline has suffered. I have frequently enjoyed Friday lunch, Sunday lunch, one dish club, supper club, coffee around Cape Town. I've done it all. Last year, Amanda politely suggested that I could always try hiking to try and address this issue. And Janet has nudged me to do a bit more Zumba, but I haven't quite managed to get to all of those. Anyway, I've also learned you can't keep all the people happy all the time. However, I do hope that we've kept most of the members happy most of the time. I have actually met some wonderful, entertaining and inspiring women in our club across all ages and from many different countries and cultures. Our club has no clubhouse property or assets as such. Our real asset is you. You, the members, you are the IWC. And the volunteers within this club who provide so much for us to enjoy are the very backbone of this club. I truly, truly appreciate all those who give their time and energy to keep this friendship club operating. I'm now going to take just a few moments of your time to thank the board, who have been kept very, very busy this year, and they've made sure that everything goes smoothly across all our activities and our Kelvin meetings. So I'm going to start with Janet. Goodness me, I've written here, what does this woman have for breakfast? Because I've got to get some. Janet has the most amazing energy and enthusiasm for everything she does. She has looked after the group leaders and the area reps and has attended, wait for it, every group activity, often several times, and she has also visited every single area within the year. Thank you, Janet. She also helped to create our stunning newsletter, and she gets all the submissions in by the deadline, and she's the one who actually prepares the monthly calendar, which has been very useful. As if that is not enough, she also, as you know, runs our famous Zumba classes. I'm going to use this phrase for all of these ladies. You're going to hear me say, and all this. So for Janet, and all this, while running a busy home with 2 teenage daughters. Very sadly, we will be losing her when she goes to Europe at the end of the year, and we wish her well in this new chapter in her life. Thank you, Janet. Just a little gift from the club. Okay. Ooh, photo call. Okay. All right, there we go. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Elena. Now on to Susan, who is our calm and organised treasurer. Susan is someone I will describe as a very safe pair of hands for our finances. She has kept us organised and within budget in a very challenging year. Her knowledge of the club and its history is invaluable, and she prepares our monthly financial report, as well as sending out invoices for subscriptions and making payments when needed. And all this while doing a full-time job and running a busy home. Thank you so much, Susan. Thank you, Susan. Okay. What a star. Sisters, isn't that lovely? Okay. Now I'm going to move across to Jane, who's hiding in the corner there. Jane, who has been our secretary and our speaker chair. Jane took on 2 jobs at the beginning of this year, really, with the most famous words, how difficult can it be? Somehow she managed to make it look easy. It's thanks to Jane that we're sitting in this room. It's thanks to Jane that you've had a cup of coffee, and it's thanks to Jane that all this is here. It's thanks to Jane the board has been organised and kept on track. It is Jane who makes sure we have our meeting rooms booked, have the papers prepared, have the audio visuals, the tea and coffee, the chairs and tables are all in the right place. We know we can arrive at Kelvin and everything is sorted. I personally think Jane could run Kelvin, actually, but never mind. And all this while also contacting speakers, getting their bios, making sure they have their audio visuals sorted, and of course, as well, running a busy home with 2 daughters. So thank you very much to Jane, who hasn't got her present, but I still... Now, the funny thing is Jane organised the gifts. Of course, Jane organises everything. So I said, I hope you've brought yours. She said, no, I've left it. Yeah. I owe her a large gin and tonic at lunch, I think. That's what I do. Okay. Now, on to Margie. This year, our philanthropy has been incredibly successful. Actually, it's been a record year for donations, and we can be very proud. We can be proud that it's thanks to the wonderful generosity of our members that the club has made such a difference to many less fortunate. Margie researched a number of organisations so that we supported a wide range, including children, culture, older people, township gardens, the homeless. The list was incredible. And all of these organisations were extremely grateful after difficult times to receive our support. Margie also assisted greatly in helping us to source speakers. And of course, she was able to help organise and coordinate our amazing 1 in 4 draw. And all this while running her own business and just happened to be busy organising the Wine Tourism Awards recently, to name just one of her many, many responsibilities. Thank you, Margie, for a job well done. Well done. Oh, and she introduced us to Mary the bear. Yeah. Now I'm moving across to Julia and Marcella. Marcella's been helping. Yeah. Julia knows that membership is a behind-the-scenes role as we receive applications which have to be processed. And now, of course, we have people applying via the website, which is great because our website is so good. And we have to meet those people who are prospective members from time to time. We have refined the membership process, and each application has to be carefully monitored through that process. Then, of course, there are new members who are welcomed at Kelvin and introduced to the club. Julia was doing all this while also running our very popular Sunday lunch club. Unfortunately, as you're probably aware, Julia suffered a fall earlier this year, which resulted in surgery. So she had to step down from this role as she recovered. And we are very grateful to Marcella, who stepped into the membership chair to keep things running smoothly for us. She has previous experience of this role, so she was able to step in very easily. Thank you. So I'd like to thank Julia and Marcella for their help this year. Marcella, yes. Thank you very much, ladies. And finally, to Victoria. Again, she has been doing a great deal behind the scenes. And thanks to Victoria, we have been pulled kicking and screaming into the 21st century. Our impressive website now has a wealth of information and archives. I do hope you make use of it. Pretty well everything you want to know about the club is on the website. Our newsletter is uploaded there, as you know, every month, and everything is there. Victoria nursed us into using WhatsApp and helped us to get to grips with Google Forms, which is a wonderful way to allow us to register an RSVP for club events. She has also made sure that our Facebook page is fun and informative, and she's even launched us on Instagram, as well as making sure the Zoom facility at Kelvin works seamlessly and is uploaded to YouTube. She's usually sitting at her laptop during the general meetings next to Anwar, making sure it's all going well. She has also kept us informed on legal requirements for our digital platforms, and she is always willing to assist those who are, dare I say, technically challenged. And all this while actually also running another busy car club and a busy home. So I would like to say thank you to Victoria. Thank you, Victoria. Don't they look glam? So it's time for me to shut up and sit down, I think, but I would like to express my sincere thanks to this board for their support and to you, the members who have supported me this year. It has been a privilege, and I mean that, to be your president, and I'm confident that 2023 will see our club grow stronger and move forward confidently with a great new team. Thank you again. I'm now going to hand over to Amanda, who would like to briefly address the meeting. Thank you.
Well, that was a fabulous and wonderful speech. Really lovely to hear. I guess I don't have that much to say after that. I want to welcome you all to our official AGM for this year. And seeing as I've never done this before, I'm not exactly sure what I'm supposed to do, but I do think that I am supposed to very much so thank the board of 2022 for everything they've done. I mean, I think Christine was very good at espousing how every person on that board has contributed to making this a stronger club this year. I think we forget this is our first year post-pandemic, proper post-pandemic, 2022. And the fact that they could have a meeting every month, a speaker every month, that we could continue to have our group and our area activities is something, well, it's nothing short of extraordinary, really. So I am so, so grateful to Christine and to the entire board for everything you've done for our club. So I think we can just give them another round of applause for that. So one of my jobs as the past president is, as you probably well know, putting the board together for this upcoming year. As I said, it's been a difficult time. I think people have reevaluated their lives. They've reevaluated their priorities. A lot of people are busy traveling. They're seeing family who they haven't been able to see for 3 years, sometimes longer. And so it's been an interesting year putting this board together. I will be honest, most of you know that I have spoken to quite a few people in the club. I know that I'm speaking to the converted here. I'm speaking to the choir because I'm looking at everybody in this audience, and I know all of you have in many ways contributed to the club this year and past years and previous years. So thank you for everything you've done. We have worked hard. We have got some amazing ladies for our board for next year. I think that they will be able to shine. Actually, I know they'll be able to shine. They're all intelligent and dedicated and kind. And it's very clear that next year there will be a focus on friendship, on getting this club back to what it can be, what it has been, but what it can be even more in the future going forward. Because I'm sure, as many of you know, this club is something that is so important. It's dear to our hearts. And it's helped us through many times. We've seen the high times and the low times and the middle times. And somehow one of the constants has been a club which has, as we say, our members are our assets, people that care about each other, people that want to make life, find the joy in life, even when it can be difficult. And that is something very, very special. So we will be announcing those ladies a little bit later. But I had to come in at the moment because I may have to slip out. As some of you know, I've been bringing my career and then starting to now focus on that a bit more. And I've been very lucky to have a meeting with the head of the opera school here in Cape Town. And he's a well-known conductor in London, out of England, and he's going to give me coaching today. So you know that it takes a lot to get me to not be here for everything, for every single moment that I can be here helping and contributing to the club. But if you see me slip out, it's not because I don't love you, and it's not because I don't love the club. It's only because I have this other thing coming up. So I think that that's what I have to say for the moment, but I will say I'm very excited about the people that will be on this board, and I'm very grateful for everyone that has made this happen. And I think I need to hand it over to the treasurer. Is that correct? To Sue. Thank you.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Susan, if you don't know me already, and I was the treasurer in this year. My report is in the AGM booklet, but I'm just going to read it here for everyone. The club had a financially challenging year in 2022, dealing with pandemic-based decisions which could not have been foreseen at the time they were made. The members still benefited from the COVID lowered fees. They were subsidized by a special COVID subsidy, but in real terms, the resources from the fees were not increased since 2019. This year, the club returned to a full offering of meetings and activities, and you've all experienced in your own lives, a significant increase in operational costs, sometimes as high as 20% more. So in order to manage the budget, it was necessary to curb spending on extras as much as possible. In addition, we embarked on a joint fundraiser for club funds with philanthropy, and this was to make up a shortfall and to avoid a loss on the books. And here I think we all have to extend a debt of gratitude to Margie for her effort on this fundraiser. We would not have been able to get through without a loss. So, Margie, we are extremely grateful to what you have done to boost our funds. There was some concern during the year about the club not having sufficient funds. So the board asked the Treasury to give a little presentation on exactly how we spend the money from the subs, which I did. Now, when people say, well, they're worried about running out of money, or they hear things like a loss on the books, this doesn't mean the club is running out of money. The club has significant deposits on investment accounts, and we still have those, and we're not going to run out of money. But what we always strive to achieve is not to have a financial loss on our results, because that isn't a good look for any board. So cutting your coat according to your cloth. So you have this much money and you need to come out on that money. So that is what we aim for. Part of the growth and development of any organization is the upgrading and improvement of the technology. Like any organization, the IWC has to carry these costs. Technology is not cheap. Offerings like a new and improved professional newsletter, Zoom, and other new ideas have got a cost implication. One of the new potential costs that's coming up is moving to perhaps a cloud-based accounting for the Treasury. The software that we use is going into year 6. Now, in any computer software, that's actually quite old. And we have a desktop-based system, so that means it's unique to the device that it's installed on. So going forward, everybody today wants a login. That's how things work now. You get a login to a system, you can log in on any device. So we need to really start thinking in that direction and not to fall behind and end up suddenly we wake up one day and our software is 12 years old and everybody's like, well, what is this? We don't work with this anymore. So that is something that's currently on the table for discussion. The fees were set at $750 for next year. As you all know, you've all received your invoices. It's a large increase, yes, but as we demonstrated in the little presentation, it was what we needed in order to run the club, solvent. And to manage our offering without fundraising. So we always like to be in that position. Okay, fundraising is a lovely little extra, but we don't want to have to do it in order to survive. Taxes are filed and up to date. We don't anticipate anything to pay to SARS. There are some discussions underway about perhaps getting an NPO number. We don't have that at this point, but we still need to get some legal advice on whether that would be beneficial for the club's structure. So all it remains for me to do is to thank President and my fellow board members for their support, their hard work, and I would like to introduce our honorary IWC gentleman, Mr. Sergio Martinengo, and thank him for taking on the annual audit. We really appreciate your time and effort on this task. So Sergio is going to come and address us. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Madam Chair, ladies, good morning to you. Before we get into the audit and so on, just try and imagine that is talking and, giving some accolades and so on. And the chairman says, and all of this whilst also spending hours. Okay, let's get down to this. Better put on my glass. Detail as far as the accounts are concerned, just to mention perhaps that subsequent to finalizing the audit, we picked up a very small little error, which 380 Rand in total, which is going to be resolved in the next year. I think the Treasurer has indicated exactly what the financials are like, and I really don't have any other comment, as you've been around for the last 11 years have done. And the audit report these days, since Enron in the 2008 and that, the audit report indicates that I've certainly had a look at the financials, what the figures look like, but I have no responsibility whatsoever. Any problems are there. Okay. Right. I have advised the board that this will be my last year. It was very difficult because I really look forward once a year to coming and spending a few minutes with you guys. But then I had to weigh that up with the fact that, at 80, I think it's time that you take a break. Eh? Okay, so yes, I'll come anyway. What the hell? What I would like to, okay, No. Well done. Oh, does it? Okay. Well, then maybe I won't resign. Dolly, you can stay at home. What I would like to do, if you allow me, is to pay tribute in particular to Susan, of course, our treasurer for this year, and who's been behind the scenes at other times, and to all those wonderful ladies who did the accounting work and made it so much easier for me as the auditor. I really appreciate that, and thank you all. I'm not going to try and name them all, mainly because when you get to my age, you forget names. But you know what I mean. The other thing I'd like to pay tribute, I think, to this club. And when I say that to the club, I really mean to the guys who run the club. You've probably heard me say this before, that I think this is a wonderful club. I don't believe that there is a single club run by men that could even get to 10% of what you guys achieve. It's amazing. But that is not just a question of the Constitution. It's a question of the people who dedicate their time. They do it for nothing, for the love of it. They spend hours selflessly doing all this work so that you, the 200 odd members, however many members there are, can really enjoy themselves. So, and I know that there is a new board being set up, and of course Amanda will talk about that. I just hope that there are a whole lot of you who are going to support the new president. Ladies, I really got nothing much to say, but leave you with one little thought, not a thought. A survey was done some years ago, and was discovered that women have more imagination than men. And really, but you know what the reason is? They need this imagination because they have to keep telling us how wonderful we are. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions? Yeah, you all want to know about the 380 Rand? No, actually, I'll tell you, it was some small bad debts just cleaned up. So it's not really worth pursue. I'm not going to send an email to someone and tell them they need to come in and pay 20 Rand. It's ridiculous. So that's what it was. All right. So now. Oh, all right. Proposer and seconder for by the way, any questions before I close? Yes.
I know I'm going to get shot down.
That's fine.
I haven't got a strong enough voice. Thank Margie very much for all her stuff she's done. I see we've gone up 50,000 to donations.
Yes.
Considering this is a friendship club and not really a philanthropic club, could we not have used that balance to lower the fees? So the fees would not have gone up. I know we haven't had fees increase since 2019, but it just seems a hell of a jump, to 750. We get value up. I understand that, but I'm just saying the donations to the philanthropic has gone up a hell of a lot. And I'm just wondering, could they not have been subsidized for fees, membership fees?
Yeah, thank you for that question. That's actually a very good question. And what I have to say about that is that the philanthropic fundraising, that money is collected from donors from various sources to be distributed to charities. So we cannot, just to put it in sort of simple terms, help ourselves to those funds. That is somewhat unethical. Those people who have, for example, donated books or donated leftover money from activities, they know that it's going to charity. So we can't say, well, this is too much for you. We're just going to help ourselves to some of that. That isn't ethical. The fundraising initiative was clearly explained to the members that it was a half-half. So everybody was aware that when they were supporting the 1 in 4, they knew that the half funds for philanthropy, half for the club. It was very transparent. So that is the reason. So, this fundraising, it's an amazing achievement, but we are, I think, ethically bound to give that to our voted charities, definitely.
I would just like to point out that when you're trying to find prizes for a draw, like the 1 in 4 draw, if you're going to donors and saying, could you donate a prize for the International Women's Club end of year party, you're not going to get a great response. If you're going to say, we want it to keep the club going, which raises funds for philanthropic causes, and half of the monies raised will go to philanthropic causes, then people will come to the party. But they won't donate just so we can have an end of year party. That's just the way it is. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Yes. Yes.
Subsidy.
Yes. The 2 pandemic years that we all experienced, the club obviously, we were not able to put on our full offerings of meetings. So everything was done remotely, and we weren't at Calvin. And so people paid their subs, and there was a lot of leftover money because we didn't have to pay the rent and the tea and coffee, and we didn't have to pay for all the running costs of running a live meeting here at Calvin. So because we couldn't give our offering to the members, we reduced the subs quite significantly. So the leftover money we applied in a COVID subsidy, if you like, for the following year. So that COVID subsidy ran for 2 years. That subsidy was only applied to existing members. So new members that came in did not benefit from that COVID subsidy. So in real terms, when I talk about real terms, we've been sitting at 620 since 2019. And so only now, next year, we go to 750 for the subs. Yeah. Anybody else? No? All right, thank you. And I have one more announcement to make. Could we propose and second the financials? All right, thank you, ladies. So if I can ask Sergio, please, to come up. Now, Sergio has already told you that he has announced his retirement, this very sadly for us, but we really feel that we owe this gentleman an enormous debt of gratitude for his incredible service to the club. This gift that we give him every year is not anywhere near enough for what he does for us. And we are so grateful. And I think that if you could all be upstanding, we need to give this man a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Susan. And again, thank you, Sergio. I'd now like to ask Wendy to step forward and just start the brief outline on the Constitution Committee and what we've tried to achieve this year.
A lot about this club doesn't change. I don't think women do really too much generation to generation. I wouldn't mind betting if we could sit next door to the very ladies who were part of the club, go right back to the beginning, 45 years ago, we probably wouldn't. We might look a little different, we might sound a little different, but we're probably not intrinsically. That's the beauty about women and the beauty about the club. But some things, the world around us does change. It evolves. I mean, the biggest thing to happen in our lifetime, surely, has been the digital era. So you kind of have to move a little bit with those times, and you've got to reflect it. Now, a constitution does not tell you how to live your life and run your club. But a constitution must reflect the way that we are living and living our lives, living the club. And when those two are out of sync, then you need to have a look at it. Now, if you were to ask Henry Ford back in the turn of the century in the Victorian era to do a constitution and survey it, and by the way, this is true, he did famously say this. He said, my constitution or my business plan would demand that I come up with bigger horses and better carriages. And of course, we all know what Henry Ford then went away and did. The world changes, so it's important that we keep up to speed in a club like this. So there are parts of our constitution which was stopping us become the very best of what we could become. They were sticking points. They didn't make sense. They were describing a world that was the world of 45 years ago, in the days of Charles Dickens, when lots of paperwork was required for one thing. So over the years, let me put it to you this way. The Constitution is a very sacred piece of writing. We're a friendship club. We don't run our lives around a piece of paper called the Constitution. But there are times we have to go to it and check what it says and treat it with respect. Now, last year, the journey began with Amanda, because Amanda's board looked at the Constitution and was identifying certain aspects which were sticking points. They were jeopardizing the way that we were running the club. They were jeopardizing the way we ran the actual structure of you arriving at every meeting, and importantly, the way we introduce and handle our members. She got Bowman's on a pro bono basis, a legal firm, to be part of the journey. So it began last year, and then this year, Christine and her board picked up on this and did it on steroids and said, right, this is going to happen. It is not a board endeavor. Christine and Victoria, our resident lawyer, was part of that committee, but they carefully put together a couple of us, including Mohini in front of me there, and Carolyn Herrick, who's still in Canada, to the best of my knowledge, and myself, for the simple reason that we have the club in our heart, but that's not why we were asked. It's because all of us have got experience in things like this, constitutions, changing plans, and making it work. So the program began, and we started looking at the Constitution, and anything that didn't have to be changed, I promise you, we didn't. It was a careful process of if it works, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But there were certain aspects that had to be looked at. Now, by now, you will know what all those aspects are, because then Christine and her board took the work that we've done back again and made it completely known to you. It was incredibly important to the committee that it wasn't the stuff that we did that mattered. It was listening to you, checking your input, listening to your questions, all of what we did. And eventually we had this slightly tweaked version, which they then gazetted, published, put it into the newsletter, and then the ultimate had a Q&A session here at Kelvin Grove in the presence of those same lawyers, should you have anything you wanted to ask. So all of those queries were then put into action, and the result was the Constitution that we are now gathered today as part of our AGM to vote on. So I'm assuming all of you have had the chance to read it, and I know you've been talking about it. And before I hand over to Victoria to do the actual formalities of it and have it pushed through on our AGM, I want to just point out one thing. Somebody said to me, I think it was yesterday, phoned me up and said, what is going to change about the club now that we've got this new Constitution? And the answer is nothing. We have already been living the 2022 version of IWC. It was the Constitution that needed to catch up with us. And that's it. Nothing more and nothing less. So thank you for that. And I'm going to hand you to Victoria to now do the formalities.
Thank you, Wendy. I couldn't have said it better myself, I have to say. It is literally bringing the document up to reality. Nothing scarier than that. So I'm going to skip over a lot of these slides because Wendy has already covered them. And as she says, the summary of key amendments that is in the document, it's been in the newsletter. All the table of amendments have been in the newsletter, on the website, etc. So all that remains for me is to propose for an omnibus motion, which means to accept all proposed amendments as gazetted in the September newsletter, on the IWC website, and explained at the Q&A session with Bowman's Law on the 26th of September 2022. Those in favour say aye. Please raise your hands. Okay. Those against say nay. On that basis, the omnibus motion is passed. Thank you very much.
2022 was a great year for our IWC. It was the time to get together again. We survived the coronavirus, and we had the most incredible activities in the group leader and with the groups and with the areas. We had 281 events. I did this collage for you with not all the activities or areas activities, but with the most recent. And we have 281 activities in this year. We have 281. We have 7 new groups, but we are in total 27 groups. We have 7 groups like a German, French, book conversation, tourists around town, Hotel Confidential, and the Supper Club. Well, before I go, I would like to propose one, maybe shopping around Cape Town. That will be very nice for me. I would like to stay here the next year. Well, if you read my report for the 2022, you will see the highlights for me, for the groups. But I can tell you some things like that. In 22, we ate, we love, we walk, we hike. We spoke in 4 languages. We saw movies, jazz concerts. We hear music. We were fashionistas and travelers. We cook and we dance. We were friends. We are friends. Thank you for your friendship. And we are 14 areas. This year, my dear members, it wasn't easy to get all the members together to the coffee mornings or the lunches because you travel. It's time again to travel. But dear reps, you organized 54 coffee mornings or lunches. This is a lot. Thank you for your effort. Well, it was an honor to be with you this year, working with you reps and leaders. And we members, we are very lucky to have you. I can tell you, you are the best managers I ever met. I will always remember this year, especially now when I'm leaving Cape Town to go to Europe. But thank you very much for letting me participate with you. And I will see you in the last events of the year in October. And thank you very much. I will miss you a lot.
It was a great pleasure that we were able to welcome members back. That was great. And the ladies started to return and normality resumed. And at the end of 2021, right at the start of the year, we had a membership of 364 members. And in New Year and February, many resigned, because some had gone to another part of South Africa, some had emigrated, and a few just decided that IWC was no longer relevant in their lives. A couple came back later in the year, and sadly we lost 3 members. They passed away. If you know you are going to resign or you can't come back for a reason, it really helps if you could send a quick email to one of the members of the board, and then it cuts down on us nagging you and chasing you. Thank you. But there was also a flurry of successful applicants. And that first few months, I don't know if you remember, we had 7, 8 on the stage for every month. It was, sort of for the first 4 months. And they were a lovely, interesting and diverse group. And it was a pleasure to be able to introduce them to all the other members. I really enjoyed that. Thank you. At the time of writing, so I did this a month ago, and obviously there have been a few people not coming back and a few people joining, or starting to join. But there were 367 members, so it stayed pretty constant, with 133 from South Africa. And you'll have seen in the book that the Constitution requires that we have to have 2/3, 1/3 international South Africans. And so there is now a waiting list for South African-born applicants. And the current board, I'm sure the next board is exploring ways to recruit international members so that we can start inviting the South Africans back again. I want to thank the regular team of helpful ladies at registration and the guest desks, the meeters and greeters as well, who welcome and show new members around. I really appreciate how you help me each month. And we welcome actually Kelvin's registration list, because that saves us another job to do, and hopefully that continues. So you've seen the Constitution changes. The membership form is going to be reviewed because we're not monitoring the number of general meetings that you are required to attend. We do ask that people do come to one or two meetings when they join, because then they know what the IWC is about, and to meet some of the previous members. The option for associate and voting member is also being removed from the form, because, as you saw in the Constitution, we're all paying the same, so everyone should have the voting rights. And when you're looking for a proposer, or you know people who are looking for a proposer or a seconder, it's important that they find someone that knows them, because they are accountable, really. And if they're new or they've joined through the website, they may not know someone. And so we've met people, and happy to interview and meet people, or have a chat, actually. And meet them so that they can be approved. Just back on the next page, sorry. Okay, so you heard, most of you have heard about this. That happened, I had an operation at the beginning of August, so I've been out of commission for a couple of months, but Marcella stepped in and did a fantastic job, and I can't thank you enough, and I really appreciate what you did. I've enjoyed my period as membership chair, and particularly communication with the current members and meeting new ones. And it's been very worthwhile seeing them out and about and talking to people on the activities that they've started to go to. Thank you for telling your friends how great the International Women's Club is, and thank you for your support and friendship this year. Thank you very much.
Good morning, ladies. Article 2 of the Constitution states that the aim of the club is to promote friendship amongst women of all nations and to give support to philanthropic projects. This has been a busy and successful year for philanthropy. You heard that earlier. The members have been most generous and interested in the various causes that we've supported. In total, we raised 144,442 rands and 18 cents, which includes the late payments after the 30th September. A number of members visited the charities that we've supported. The charities we supported were Footsteps Educare, and those were educational toys. Ons Plek, toiletries and bras for the girls. 3 homes for the aged, and those were in 3 different areas, the Deep South, Stellenbosch and Central, and those were Easter eggs, face cloths and white soap. Cape Town Opera, and those were funds. TLC, foods, clothes and clothes for the needy. Kailicha Food Gardens, compost and gardening tools. The Princess Projects, beautiful clothes and accessories for matric dancers. And Women for Africa, funds for bursaries to attend the Women Within weekends. The Red Hat ladies, under the leadership of Barbara Smith, have done a sterling job this year, as has the bookstore under the leadership of Antoinette Pendre Neuer, and thanks to Lorraine Dex, who was supportive throughout the year at the philanthropy table. In March, we were joined by Mary, the philanthropy bear, who's proved to be popular with the members. 1 in 4 fantastic draw was a great success, as you heard earlier, raising 58,192 rands and 36 cents by the end of the project. Half of this, as you heard, is being employed by philanthropy, and the half is going to the club to balance the budget. This project was ambitious for the membership. Ideally, it would be run online with no physical tickets. This was not possible, given that many members are not geared to manage this. I must place on record my gratitude to the members of the board who assisted, and especially to Linda Smorenberg and Mel Pastorino, who were most efficient in keeping the challenging records for this project. 150 prizes were donated or sourced by 76 members. Almost all 600 tickets that were printed were sold by the members. We also received a donation from Marianne Kannemeyer to pay for the ticket printing. Thank you, Maria. The end of year donations to charity, I'm pleased to report that we've raised 62,210 to donate. This is made up of donations from the group leaders and the 1 in 4 fantastic draw. Members are currently voting online as to the 5 causes who should receive the funds, which will be split equally, and the vote closes today after the AGM. While this has been a demanding year, it has been a privilege to serve the IWC membership and the Greater Cape Town community. I thank those of you who have supported our endeavours. I wish my successor great success. Mary gives notice that she resigns at the end of the year function. And I hand over to Victoria.
I think we might need to renegotiate with Mary for next year. Maybe up her donations. Hi, Victoria Dickerson, Social Media and Communications Chair, for those who don't know me. If you don't, then come and see me, because it means you're not getting my WhatsApps. So thankfully, 2022 was a lot quieter than last year. We had last year, we had the website, etc., and we had the onerous registration systems for COVID, and we didn't have Google Forms. The discovery of Google Forms has been a godsend, I have to say. And we haven't felt the need to do the social media training this year. If people still feel they need that, then please let me know. We can look into doing another one next year, perhaps. The website continues to perform well as not only just a marketing tool. We actually find that when we approach speakers, it's the first place they look to find out about the club. So and get a gist of why should they drop their fees quite substantially to come and speak to us, which they do, and Jane negotiates that very well for us. The only real change to the website from my chair point of view was that we took on the administration of the database. So now if someone has an issue with their login, it can be sorted very quickly, whereas before we had to collate all the issues and then go back to the webmaster once a month. But we can do that pretty instantly now, which makes a huge difference to the membership experience. Hybrid YouTube channel. We've kept it going this year. It's been a bit hit and miss with attendees on Zoom, and yet people do watch online. So I feel we need to do a cost-benefit analysis next year to see, are the members getting the benefit from it? Our swallows certainly do watch online when they're overseas. So it's just something we need to look at, because it's we need to get the full benefit of the money we're spending on that. WhatsApp continues to operate. If you know someone who's not getting the WhatsApps, first of all, check that they've got the number in their phone. Number 2, send an email to media@iwc.co.za. So that will cover, whether it's me or my successor. It's really important, because without that, they're not getting the full benefit of the club. So as you're, I task you as to be a good friend within the IWC. If your friend's not getting it, help them. And if you can't help them, let me know and I will help them. Okay, Facebook and Instagram. Facebook operates as normal. We've got more than 200 of our members registered now, which is quite significantly increased. And Instagram, we're not actively using Instagram. What we're planning to do with it next year is purely to put the best photos from the month on, and that will populate the website gallery, so you can go to the gallery and see up-to-date photos, not ones that we've put on a year ago. So that's that. We're not going down the Instagram route, and we're certainly not going down the TikTok route. Cape Town's not ready for that. Just again on Google Forms registration, it really has transformed the registration process and made all our lives an awful lot easier. So we'll keep that going. I don't know how many group leaders we have in the room, but I really feel it's a great tool for group leaders for registration for their events, because it creates a spreadsheet for them rather than having emails coming here and there and having to populate it yourself. But that's a project for next year. Okay, I want to thank you all for your support as we have moved the club into the digital age. I know it's not always been easy, and I really do thank you so much for your willingness to learn and your willingness to bear with us when things go a bit awry, as they do. I just want to ask that you'll support my successor as she finds her way in the new role. I know I've done this for 2 years, but when I started, it was very, very scary. Sorry, I'm not wanting to put you off, but yeah, so there will be baby steps, and she'll have my support. So I ask you to do the same. Okay, and thank you very much for your help this year. Thank you. I'd like to hand over to Jane.
Right, good morning. I'll first address the secretary position and then review the speakers. First of all, the main criteria for any IWC board position is a sense of humor. If you have a sense of humor failure during the year, which we all did, at some point, you have to find it quickly and continue. I've often been asked why I've decided to take on 2 roles on this year's board. Firstly, I think there was something in the drinking water in Rondebosch this time last year. It's under investigation. And secondly, there really wasn't anybody else. It's a bit of a reoccurring theme. So I urge you to all maybe just give a year and just assist. In fact, what I found was that the secretary and speaker roles actually flowed very nicely into each other. Both required a lot of planning and organizational skills. On the secretary, all records of minutes of the general meeting and the board meetings are now stored on Google Drive, where each one of us have a folder with our various portfolios. This is for ease of access going forward for future boards. I've implemented board reports this year. I don't think the board will ever forgive me for this. Requested from each chair prior to our board meeting. This was to keep a written record of their portfolios, to keep track and reference, and to cut down on the lengthy board meetings we found ourselves in. We often entered the board meetings with board reports that resembled movie scripts from Harry Potter. They were so thick. Yes, this was an exceptionally busy year. Kelvin Grove found themselves without a general manager for most of the year. I think security thought it was me, making life difficult at times. However, we managed and found our way forward. I would like to thank Shahima Davids and her team for her work, and the Terraces dining staff and the chef at Kelvin for all the assistance provided to me this year. General meeting days are normally quite stressful and that require an enormous amount of preparation and organization. Well, Kelvin Grove was going through a renovation this year. Yes, they were. And many upgraded areas. We navigated this well and made it through the other side. And moving on to speakers. And we opened the February meeting, like Christine said, with the comedic genius Nick Rabinovitz. In March, we had our very own Right Girls, were interviewed by the well-known journalist Nancy Richards. April had us learn about the Old Vine project, a fascinating talk from Andre Morgenthau and Shirley Fuller from WWF SA. Africa Milani of Cape Talk fame, with his soothing voice, spoke to us about Cape Town Opera and his personal story of how he became involved. The highlight for me was being able to lock down Captain Nicholas Sloan for June to speak about the raising of the Costa Concordia, the inside story. Gabby Lowe of the Resilience Factory spoke to us in July on grief. In August, we were able to secure Christo Brunt, who was Nelson Mandela's guard, and he spoke about his deeply personal relationship that came from this.
1st of September was our Spring Hat Day, and our general meeting coincided with this. Our very own Margaret Abbott spoke on Vita Sackville West and the gardens at Sissinghurst. Our members also donned their best spring hats, and we had a spring hat competition. And finally, in October, we had Dr. David Roberts of Sandcob to speak to us on the plight of penguins and the wonderful work Sandcob do. As Speaker Chair, it has been my privilege to arrange these very varied and exceptional speakers for you this year. I hope that you have all enjoyed them as much as I have enjoyed organizing them. I would like to thank Anwar, our sound engineer, for always being there on general meeting days and for making sure that all sound and equipment work in the ballroom, for always contacting my speaker before the general meeting to make sure that everything runs like clockwork. Each speaker comes with their own unique laptop, equipment, and cables. And I can always rely on Anwar to sort it out in his very calm way, knowing that he is always there. Knowing that he is always there to sort things, any issue has made my job so much easier. Anwar, I thank you. And finally, I would like to thank the board. I liken this board of 2022 to graduates of the School of Magic. Poof, and it all happens. Before you are exceptional women, all with very busy lives, with children still at school and businesses to run, and full-time jobs. I would like to thank Christine for her calm and professional manner in leading the board of 2022. When all is said and done, we gave it our all. Thank you. And thank you. I would just like to present Christine with her gift. She didn't get her gift, so I'd just like to present her. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, all of you, for those inspiring words. And I think Jane's quite right. She always reminds me of the swan, very calm and smooth and elegant on the surface, and it's all flapping underneath, you know. Before I hand over to Wendy, who's going to speak to us, it's just time to ask if there are any questions from our membership. So now's the time. If you would like to raise a question, please let me know. Everybody happy? You're happy with how we're running the club? You're happy with what we've had to say? You're all desperate for lunch, you know. Okay, thank you very much indeed. So I'm slightly panicking because I can't see Wendy, but I think she's hiding. She's hiding in the back. Wendy, where are you? It's your moment in the spotlight. Okay, Amanda's had to go to her special tutorial. Yep. So here comes Wendy to talk to us about next year. Thank you.
Yes, the reason why we were fluttering around the background there is that, as you know, it is the job of the previous president to put together the board of the next year. And then when it comes to a moment like that, have the privilege of actually introducing them. Amanda has gone off for a really important chat with somebody, you know, which was part of her career. So she's asked if I would take over that privilege and introduce to you the board of 2023. Now, in the background, I think, you know, you need to know the work that's been going on. It's incredibly important that the right people come around this table. It's a time of change. And it's not just Amanda. There's been all sorts of people who've been helping. So we need to acknowledge all the work going on in the background as well. But now, with huge pleasure, I'm going to start, obviously, with the president. And the lady who's going to step up to be our president of 2023 is Victoria Dickerson. I barely need to introduce you and give information because we know her so well. She has done a lot to change things in this club. And as Christine said, drag us into the 21st century. But let me tell you, in her spare time, she's a lawyer. This is a very accomplished and intelligent lady. She spent 10 years working with the oil and gas industry, negotiating multi-million-dollar contracts. Now you can understand why she was on our constitutional committee. You know, it came in very, very useful. She has lived in and worked in Egypt, Australia, Malaysia, Indonesia. She was already in a different club like ours, the British Women's Association, and she was very active. But now, fortunately for us, she's a resident here with her husband, Daryl, and Bruce. Now, before you think there's some shenanigans in the Dickerson household, let me tell you, Bruce is a tabby cat, but he's important enough to register in her bio. She has, as you know, been our social media chair for a couple of years now and changed a lot of things. So what she says about her year ahead, and this is from what she said to me, what is the most important to me as a president going forward for 2023? To put the word friendship square in the middle of the board that's coming up and square into the middle of the club. We've always been a friendship club, but this for Victoria is the most important non-negotiable aspect of becoming president. Our president for 2023. Right, I'm going to ask you all to come up in a while and have the paparazzi moment, but I'll go through the names first. This coming year, there has been a decision to split the vice president role into two halves, and half of it will be to look after area reps, and the other half will be to look after our group leaders. Not that I think either one of those two parties I've just said need looking after. But that's how the roles are being divided. So I'm going to introduce you to two deputies, if you like. And the first one I'm going to mention to you is Mohini Ramdhani. Stand up, unless you don't know who she is. Mohini has been with this club for 18 years, so she's heading for her long service awards. You'll know her as your movie club leader, and she's also been area rep for Rondebosch. What you may not know about Mohini is that she's a qualified dispensing optician. So, you know, if everybody needs to talk about glasses, here's your lady. And she was in the UK. She's a Londoner. You know, it always amuses me. People say, where do you come from? And she goes, London, you know, proper Londoner through and through. And she ran her practice in London. She's also had a stint, as you may remember, as philanthropic chair in 2020. So she's had lots of experience with the board. And of course, she's been part of the Constitution Review Committee as well. Well, I'll also tell you, she's one hell of a cook. She's got a great love. I mean, how can you be in the IWC Cape Town and not love something to do with food or drink of that nature? So Mohini Ramdhani. Our second VP is going to work with Mohini and with Victoria. I'm delighted to actually announce this name. I think it's really important that she's stepping forward again. I'm thrilled. Marcella Solis. So there she is. Now, Marcella is not going to be digging into membership chair again, I understand, although, I mean, it's useful to have a helping hand. But Marcella is stepping up to look after the group leader side, and Mohini is going to look after the area reps. I've got that the right way around, yeah. Marcella, if you don't know already, is from, and I know it's not Chile, it's Chile. I'm always being taught about that one. Chile in South America. She is very determined lady with a very interesting aspect on life. She's along the way. She's been married to a South African and has been going through a lot of change in life of recent, but she's decided to say, well, with these new challenges brought to me, I'm going to put the energy back into IWC. So Marcella, that's amazing of you to choose this time in your life to give back to the club. She has lived in Colombia, in Australia, and what I understand has been to South Africa, emigrated and left and come back again. She's a language lady. She has worked as a bilingual secretary. You might not know this, but she's also a qualified beautician. So she's done work along that line. What is very unusual about Marcella is that she went through a period of time, and I think it was in Australia, where you really were not well. And she landed up going through all sorts of avenues of inquiry and eventually landed up with biomagnetism. No, I'm not going to tell you about biomagnetism. That is her job. But she says, it's more than something I do. It is more than something I study, and it is more than something I do to help other people. This, she says, is my passion. So it's gone into that sort of level. And passion is a word you'll associate with Marcella a lot. She's also over the time volunteered with Shine, and she's got a lovely mantra on life. She said, I'd like to share it with the club that I follow thinking in the mind. And the three important words to me are accept, forgive, and forget. Marcella Solis. So who is taking on membership chair? Well, I'm delighted to tell you that the answer to that question is Dottie van Lumenstein. Please stand up, Dottie. We know Dottie. I mean, she's been wonderful over the time, volunteering to help here and help there, and we could not think of a better person to look after us as the members. There's a lot about Dottie I didn't know, but, you know, we've got a lawyer in the house, and just in case, we also have a doctor in the house. Dottie, who, as you probably know, is German, is a qualified GP, but she went then further and became a specialized GP in anatomical pathology. And she's also been at Stellenbosch University around 1996. And then she became a partner in a private pathology laboratory in 1997. And she's worked at a, heaven knows what this is, but I'm going to say it like it is, histopathologist. No, I'm not going to try and tell you what a histopathologist, but she did that for 20 years. So we have ourselves another erudite and accomplished lady. She lives at home with her husband, and she is mum to 5 adult children, and she has 10 grandchildren. So Dottie, Dottie, who lives in the Atlantic seaboard, is very much one of us in the club. Dottie, it's wonderful to welcome you onto the board of 2023. And the last person I'm going to introduce you to today, now you can probably gather by now there might be a couple of names missing. So just for a second before I tell you the last person, we're not missing so much as trying to make sure the right people in that right position. So by the time we get to our Christmas meeting next month, we may be introducing you to one or two, but we were almost there, but it's inappropriate to introduce until we're 100% sure. But your board will be ready for action one way or to other in 2023. So who is the last member? And Victoria has alluded to it. This person has the joy and the job of taking on the social media chair. And the lady I'd like to welcome to the board of 2023 is Judy Chang. Judy is a Zumba girl. And I first got to know her bobbling around on the floor next to her sort of many, many moons ago. But when you get to know Judy, you find out exactly what ticks in that head. For this lady has been in business management. And if you have even half a conversation with Judy, and I suggest you do, you'll find out just how businesslike that brain is. But where should she do this? In Beijing. She worked in trading companies, so she's very well versed in retail and all that goes with it. And then she came through to Cape Town in 2006, and she's living in Beijing, but has now moved permanently to Cape Town. At least we hope it's permanent, Judy. She loves sport, she loves music, she loves traveling. What she doesn't say in her biography, but we know it, is that she's one hell of a sportswoman. And your sport is am I right in saying, is it squash? Or was it the badminton? Badminton. I knew it was a small ball. But she's no ordinary player of badminton. She plays league. And one of her hesitations before accepting this position was she's gotten to such a high level, and she actually said to all of us, will I still be able to compete at that level? So we have a very competitive sportswoman who is also, we understand, going to tackle social media with aplomb and knowledge. So I'm going to ask all of the members of the board to come so we can give them a good round of applause. Victoria, come and lead the way. And then I'm going to ask Ellen to take all the photographs, and I'm going to step out the way. Congratulations to each and every one of you. We are in for an awesome year.
Thank you very much to Wendy, who's helped out today a great deal and helped Amanda And thank you for doing the wonderful introductions, Wendy. So there's just one lady we need to also say thank you to, although we're actually going to officially thank her at our year-end party. But we couldn't really enjoy our social media if we didn't have a resident paparazzi. So I want to say a big thank you to Eleanor for So ladies, it's a great pleasure for me to congratulate the new board of 2023 and wish them all the very best. And thank you for joining us today. I'm going to ask that the current board stay for just one moment. And I know we have a little group shot for the, it's like the school leavers board, isn't it? The matrix of 2022. I'm going to thank you again for coming and now declare the meeting closed. Thank you.